Good day to everyone joining us, and welcome to today's X Talks webinar. Today's talk is entitled, The Next Level of Sustainable Food Packaging, Aluminum. My name is Sonia Hunt, and it's my pleasure to be your X Talks moderator for today. Today's webinar will run for approximately 60 minutes. This presentation includes a Q&A session with our speakers. This webinar is designed to be interactive, and webinars work best when you're involved. So please feel free to submit questions and comments for our speakers throughout the presentation using the questions chat box, and we'll try to attend to your questions during the Q&A session. Now, this chat box is located in the control panel, and that's found on the right-hand side of your screen. If you require assistance, please contact me at any time by sending me a message using that chat panel. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. Please note that this event will be recorded and made available to you for future streaming on xtalks.com. At this point, I'd like to thank Constancia Flexibles who developed the content for this presentation. Constancia Flexibles is one of the world's leading manufacturers of flexible packaging with 100 years experience in the industry. The group supplies its products to numerous multinational corporations and local market leaders in the food, pet food, confectionery, home, personal care, and pharmaceutical industries, being active in the world's most attractive and fastest growing markets for flexible packaging. The group is a global player with a strong European regional focus and presence in Europe, Russia, USA, Mexico, and India. And it is recognized for premium positioning, leading technology, customer proximity, and highly efficient production facilities. Now it is my pleasure to introduce you to your speakers for today's event. And first, I'd like to introduce you to Thomas Schultz, who is responsible for brand management in Constancia Flexibles Group. A key focus of his work are the company's marketing, sustainable activities, and innovations. Before joining Constancia Flexible, Thomas worked for more than 7 years at Procter & Gamble on multiple brands such as Braun, Ariel, and Febreze in various brand management roles. He has joined Constancia Flexibles 3 years ago with rich international experience and recently took over responsibilities for the company's pharma marketing activities. And our second speaker, as Vice President of Group Sustainability, Dr. Thomas Gregorich, is responsible for the improvement of the sustainability performance of the company on corporate and product level. His tasks concentrate on monitoring the market and defining sustainability indicators for Constancia Flexibles. Apart from his activities and efforts on process and product level, he strives to actively participate in setting up new standards along the whole value chain. And finally, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Martin Kornfeld. He is responsible for one of Constancia's Flexibles' main R&D centers with a development focus on foil-based packaging structures, liqueur, extrusion compound development, and chemical trace analysis. The R&D center also steers the group-wide activities to fulfill the comprehensive food contact regulations by defining appropriate group procedures and educating and assisting the involved experts. And now we're just going to take a look here at the agenda for today. And you'll see here that what you'll learn is modern consumer expectations towards sustainability, the superior recyclability of aluminum packaging. You'll also learn about aluminum as an engineering material for flexible packaging, the advantages of aluminum for a multitude of food and consumer product packaging options, and how to add value to your brand using eco-friendly packaging solutions, and aluminum packaging production and value chain. So that is the agenda. And now I'm going to pass over the controls to our first speaker, and that is Thomas Schultz. So I release the mic, and you're ready to go there, Thomas.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sonia, and welcome everybody also on our behalf. Thanks a lot for joining this webinar, and let's jump right into the topic. So what we see here are actually just a couple of pictures on the previous chart of what is happening around the world. And with around the world, I mean with consumers, the next generation, and also ourselves going onto streets and marching for more climate friendly operations, climate friendly products, and more sustainable attitude in everything we do. And this is exactly what we want to talk about today with a couple of products, and especially more with the positive side effects of aluminum as a packaging material to bring that across to you today. So on the next slide, what we've come to and brought together for you are a few expectations that we have gathered around from consumers and from different studies. And it is very clear that consumers today are expecting more sustainable alternatives. And they're expecting them from the companies and even more so from brands they love. And not surprisingly, 80% of food shoppers today are willing to purchase brands that are more committed towards the environment than others. So consumers are making a clear choice here. They are actually spending time in front of shelves to have a closer look of the material, the packaging material, and the brand in front of them, whether to go for it or not. 2/3 of consumers are even ready to pay an extra money for an eco-friendly packaging. And that came not as a real surprise to us, because we know from those consumers that the touch, the feel, even the sound of packaging material is a whole part of a brand. And that's why it's so important to them. 2/3 say more environmental friendly packaging is very important to them. And even 88% of those consumers say it is more important than anything I'm sorry, now I lost. 88% that is a very important factor to them. So on the next slide, you see what Constantia Flexible's mission is. And here we as a company have clearly dedicated ourselves to say a world is to us important where we envision that basically packaging provides people with the highest benefit at the lowest impact on the environment. So here clearly we say that yes, packaging does have an impact on the environment, but it is still such an important factor that we need to make sure with the innovations that we have, with the materials that we produce, that the impact is as low as possible. And that's also why we came to the conclusion that it is time to change. And that change is already there. And we have therefore pledged that by 2025, all the packaging that we produce will be recyclable, both in the consumer and in the pharmaceutical product range that we have. It is to our knowledge, or not to our knowledge, it is to us so important that the packaging protects not only the customer's products, so this means the goods that we bring to consumers, but also the ecosystem. And the most important topics here are clearly climate and energy, and eco-design and innovation, raw materials and their sourcing, and we'll learn a little bit about aluminum sourcing today, as well as the quality and safety, compliance. We talk about food waste, procurement, and also innovation. So in other words, we are absolutely committed to reduce. And here we are also committed to reduce scope 1, 2, and 3 greenhouse gas emissions. And not only little, but by 24% by 2030 and up to 49% by 2050. And that all from a 2015 base year. So looking at the next chart, now this is a rhetorical question that you see here, but what do you see when looking at all these products? What do they all have in common? And what they have in common is exactly today's topic. It is the material of aluminum. You'll find aluminum across a wide range of products, not only in packaging, but you find them basically throughout airplanes, post mailboxes, coffee capsules, bicycles, anywhere in so many materials, and also in packaging material. And what we've prepared for you today is a little video that you'll just see in a second that also gives you a little inside look into our production facility. Sonia, can you please play the video?
What connects all of these products? An important part of each of them is one of the world's most versatile and flexible elements: aluminium. Aluminium is easy to shape, but stable and resistant to organic acids, and a good conductor of electricity and heat. It's one of the most common elements in the Earth's crust. Worldwide, more than 40 million tons of it are produced annually, some of which comes to the Constantia Teich plant, where it is processed into 1 billion square meters of foil each year. As a barrier to oxygen, light, and other environmental influences, aluminium preserves all scent and product qualities while being completely harmless to humans. All this makes aluminium the perfect material for packaging food and animal feed. The flexibility of aluminium allows for conservation of packaging, and for much of the aluminium contained in packaging, in the spirit of a sustainable circular economy, disposal is just one more step in the product's life cycle. Since aluminium can be easily separated, over 50% of it is reprocessed. It can be endlessly utilized without quality loss, and consumes 95% less energy than in its primary manufacture. That's why in its value chain, aluminium conserves far more resources than are used in initial production. Constantia Flexibles supports these efforts through consistent recycling. So aluminium packaging once again becomes products that accompany us throughout our lives. Through innovation and product development, Constantia Flexibles works steadily to optimally preserve our natural resources and promote the goal of a sustainable circular economy.
Thanks a lot, Sonia. So you've seen just in the video a little bit of an introduction about how versatile the material of aluminium actually is, and you've also got a little look into one of our biggest production sites here in Austria, where we actually use aluminium from the roll up to the final product. So I will hand over now to Martin, who will share with us further insights, especially about the characteristics of aluminum.
So thank you very much, Thomas. Thomas has already shown that aluminium is used for a very broad range of applications, and this is because of its very interesting and advantageous characteristics. At first, in the first column, you see availability. A material can have the best properties, but if it's very rare on Earth, its technical uses are limited. And for aluminium, you can see here, it's the third most common element in the Earth's crust and the most common metal in the Earth's crust. And the Earth's crust basically is what is really good available for us humans. And then it's longevity. Aluminium is very durable, which makes it suitable for construction and transportation, but also for packaging applications. And this is mainly linked to the fact that aluminium builds up an oxide layer, a natural oxide layer, which protects the aluminium itself. And in case that the surface is somehow mechanically damaged, it is renewed immediately. And this protective oxide layer makes aluminium also very good for construction and building, because there it's maintenance free. Then aluminium is very energy efficient, and since it's a light metal but yet strong and stable, it enables significant energy savings. For instance, when you look at car traffic or aviation, it's used. And when recycled, the so produced aluminium only needs 5% of the energy compared with its primary production. That's what you have already heard in the recent video. And so recycling makes the material even much more sustainable. And finally, in the last column, the many interesting technical properties of aluminum make the possible uses very versatile. The selected properties here are very valuable for the packaging application. So lightweight, ductility, and formability and strength are clear, but also the very good thermal and electrical conductivity are important when you consider thermoconductive or electrical inductive sealing processes on the packaging lines. Following to the technical properties and advantages that you saw on the last slide, I want to point out now some key benefits of aluminium, mainly related to sustainability, which make the metal best fit for packaging. At first, aluminium foil is best conserving the filling goods. This is due to its outstanding barrier properties, and aluminum foil is regarded as a total barrier material against light, moisture, and gases. And on the other way around, it protects the inside and keeps the aromas in the pack. And since in most applications the environmental footprint of the packaging is much lower than the one of the filling good, aluminum foil saves much more resources that it consumes by its productions. Aluminium is very good recyclable. The annual production of aluminium is about 62 million tons, and most of it has a very long lifespan, so for e.g. in construction or aviation, and afterwards it's recycled. When you look at aluminium foil, about 65% of the foil is already recycled. And this makes it, on a percentage basis, the industry metal with the highest recycling rate and overall a very sustainable metal. And as said, aluminium is lightweight. You do not need much of it by weight to preserve and protect the filling good reliable. And this, for instance, is here shown that about 1.5 grams of aluminium foil protect 1 liter of milk for many, many months. And I will continue now, or we want to continue now with a poll question. For this, I hand over to Sonia.
Okay, thank you very much, Martin.
Please.
And yes, thank you very much, Martin. I'm going to launch our first poll question, and the audience members should see it right now appear in front of them, and there it is. Now, this is done in real time, so your participation is strongly encouraged and appreciated. So the question that we have for you today is, how many times can aluminum be recycled? So please select one of the below. I'll give you about 40 seconds to complete this poll question. And just like I said earlier, this is done in real time, so I will be able to close the polls and share the results with everyone. So the question again is, how many times can aluminum be recycled? Please select 1, 5 times, 50 times, or infinity times. Okay, thank you, everyone. It looks like we have the majority of our audience members have cast their votes, so thank you very much for that. For those of you who have not, I'll give you another 10 seconds before I close the polls to participate. So please go ahead and cast your vote, and then I will close the polls. Okay, that looks like it's everyone. Thank you very much, everyone. Now I'm going to close the polls and share the results. So the question was, how many times can aluminum be recycled? And the results are 2% said 5 times, 5% said 50 times, and 93% of our audience members said infinity times. So thank you very much for participating in that last poll question. Now back to you, Martin.
Okay, this is, I would say, quite astonishing. The majority is absolutely right. The majority is absolutely right, and I would say I'm very happy about this, that the understanding of the recyclability of aluminium is, I would say, known by the majority. Okay, so thank you very much, and I will forward now to Dr. Thomas for the next slide. Thank you.
So much appreciated here. A very well-educated audience we have today. And that's the perfect bridge. Thank you, Martin. So when we talk about sustainability, so of course, recyclability is one of our, let's say, most important pillars when we follow up our sustainability strategy, besides carbon emission and how we deal with climate change. But when it comes to aluminium, of course, I have to say, we said already 10 years ago that we want to go one step further. And of course, beside carbon emissions and recyclability, we had the vision with a few other players in the value chain that we want to establish a responsible sourcing scheme for the raw material aluminium. So on the one hand, dealing with carbon emissions, but with all the other different topics of sustainability, when we think about social topics, when we think about governance topics. And there the Aluminium Stewardship Initiative was founded finally a little bit after 2010-11, where Constantia Flexibles is one founding member, as you can see here, with the United Nations mandated organization, the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, said, okay, are you the right partner to develop an independent standard for the responsible sourcing of aluminium? And as you can see here, finally, after a lot of work, 5-6 years down, the first standard, the performance standard was launched. And afterwards, like, maybe from paper, FSC paper, if you want to give credits or responsible source material along the value chain, you need a so-called chain of custody certification. And as a founding member, we are very proud that Constantia Teich, the plant you have seen also in the video, was the second, let's say, company in the world to achieve the ASI performance standard certification. And also in last year, we started the audit for the chain of custody thing. What means by a lot of customer requests, we can follow their wish to deliver responsible sourced aluminum for them. And when it comes to Constantia Teich, I think it's time, especially because here's where the foil rolling finally happens at Constantia. The foil rolling mill in Austria. And I think it's time for the second poll now, where we want to ask you a question. What do you think? What is the final aluminum annual output in square meters of the Austrian Teich production site? Sonia, may I hand over to you that you can start the poll again?
Certainly, Dr. Thomas. And yes, I am going to launch our second poll question, and the audience members will see it right here. And there it is in front of you. And just like before, we will do this live. So your participation is strongly encouraged and appreciated. I'll give you 40 seconds for this one here. And the question is, what is the aluminum annual output in M2 of the Austrian Teich production site? So you have 3 options below. Please select just one. And your options are as big as Vienna's area, as big as Los Angeles's area, or as big as Shanghai's area. So please go ahead and cast your vote. Okay, and it looks like we have the majority of our audience members have done so. Thank you very much. And we always have a few people who haven't done that as yet. So please, can you go ahead, for those of you who have not cast your votes, can you please do it now? I'll give you another 10 seconds, and then I'm going to close the polls and share the results, and we'll go right back to Dr. Martin. Or sorry, Dr. Thomas.
So it stays with me.
Okay, no problem. Okay, it'll be Dr. Thomas. Okay, I'm going to close the polls now and share the results. Okay, so here are the results. What is the aluminum annual output at M2 of the Austria Teich production site? And we have here 6% as big as Vienna's area. We have 49% saying as big as Los Angeles's area, and 45% as big as Shanghai's area. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for participating in that last poll question. Now, back to you.
Thank you, Sonia.
No problem.
So let's have a look. So you won't believe the one who have chosen answer B are the right ones. So unbelievable. At Constantia Teich, so the area in square kilometers is as big as Los Angeles area. So even for me all the time, I'm quite impressive here.
Wow.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we have also thought, and because we always get a lot of inquiries when it comes to aluminium in the course of flexible packaging, as aluminium plays a very important role, as we have heard, when it comes to barrier properties and other technical properties aluminium can offer to us. We just wanted to share one slide with you made by the IFO Institute in Heidelberg, who did a study where they said, okay, what about replacing some packaging with flexible packaging, especially when it comes to resource efficiency, and how would this end up finally? And I have to say here, every packaging format and every packaging we have on the market has, of course, its right to exist here, although rigid, flexible, and everything we have finally. But only if you look here at the study made by the IFO Institute, and we would substitute some of the packaging formats we have there with flexible packaging, a topic catchphrase resource efficiency. I'm repeating myself. You can see, so we are reducing the overall waste massively here finally. And when it comes to the overall amount of reducing waste, of course, this would reduce carbon emission respectively, dramatically. And what I have to say, this study has been made by the EU27, brackets 28 finally, looking what is the discrepancy when we talk about recyclability, resource efficiency, and carbon emissions. And our belief is that you can't separate these different topics. If you follow up the sustainability debate in a very honest way without any greenwashing, of course, so you should have a look at everything, but also not because of recyclability by its own or by reducing carbon emission by its own. So you have to look at all the performance of raw materials in a very comprehensive way. Otherwise, so it's a very, let's say, unbalanced view. We are convinced. And you can see here, and I have to point out, this is a non-exhaustive list where we try to put some arguments, advantages and disadvantages of the different raw materials we also have in our portfolio. And also we are dealing with the topic aluminium today, but nevertheless, of course, there are a lot of pros, but also a lot of cons. And also here's the message. So we should stick to the material where it really does make sense. On the one hand, we have aluminium, as you know, looking from a primary extraction point of view, needs a lot of energy, as we have heard, but it is recyclable. Recyclable with any loss of quality, we will see in the next slide, which is also when it comes to carbon emissions, following a comprehensive life cycle assessment approach for the LCA guys with me today. So following, for example, an avoided burden approach or other things. So showing the benefit when it ends up in a recycling and sorting stream. So you can also see that the benefits are incredible. Compared to plastics, of course. So plastics have, because cheap in production, other things, a lot of advantages we know. But when it comes to the finally collection, sorting, and recycling stream, of course, at the moment, especially when we look in Europe, they're very polyolefin based. What means polyethylene and polypropylene at the moment, or in a mixed one especially, as slowly polyethylene streams are available at the moment. The downcycling of the material, of course, is a huge problem when it comes to plastic and paper, of course. So, and when we talk about what about food contact materials, so there is still following the EFSA rules in Europe. We have still here the challenge that recycled material by now is not allowed in direct food contact here. I did a qualitative statement when you look at the last bullet point of plastics, where I said average life cycle assessment, which a very qualitative one and a quantitative one. So I want to put it in relation, of course, with the performance of recyclability and technical recyclability. So this is, of course, as we're not only dealing about polyolefins and also with a lot of other materials, polyamines, PVC, and all other things. So, and here also we can see that the average, and let's take the impact category of carbon emission, is compared to aluminium, of course, not beneficial, I would say, in this way. For paper, we have the benefit that as long as it is brown with a high content of recycled fibers, not allowed in direct food contact, and if it's green printed from the end consumer perception, it has to be sustainable. But if you look at it from a scientific view, also RC and other things, we often see, okay, beside the lacking technical properties of barrier, a paper is not often as sustainable as end consumer or people believe finally. And it is not, again, blaming one raw material. It's just about to say, okay, choose the right material where it does make sense. Coming to the next slide of my presentation, we have summarized what we have also seen in the video again. So please keep in mind, the outstanding performance of aluminum recycling is that it can be easily sorted and recycled with any loss in quality. Pure aluminum, and we have also seen that the final disposal bin, if it is crunched, and it's much more easier, we will hear in the next slide then afterwards, if it is crunched, the probability of a smooth recycling is much more higher than if it is not crunched, so finally. But the thing is here, if it is disposed in as long correctly, and as long as it is not collected, it can't be sorted and it can't be recycled. So this is, I think, valid for all the different raw materials. And if it goes then down to the recycling stream, so where does it finally end up? So if there is a proper recycling infrastructure in place, aluminum-based packaging will be sorted out by eddy currents in the sorting process and can be recycled via pyrolysis finally. And the ones who can't be sorted out or finally ending up through incineration and then ending up in bottom ash. So it can be recycled again via bottom ash recycling. And the small share that oxidizes finally should be used for energy recovery again. And when we are often discussing about what I already mentioned, the high demand of energy during the production process from bauxite mining, smelting, alumina, and so on, please keep also in mind, we have seen it in the video, recycling of aluminium consumes only 5% of the total energy for primary production of aluminium, and thereby reduces the carbon footprint dramatically, replacing virgin material again. Okay, I have here, and this is also only an example, so there, I don't want to say 100 of different possibilities. When it comes to the sorting, it's only one possibility. So when a packaging or when waste finally comes to the sorting center, so often you have a magnetic separator, and we want also to give you here a short overview how this is finally done. And then it can be happening if the one. Maybe there are some people and say, okay, there's often an eddy current before near infrared, or when it comes to the screening and wind sifting, you can see in the beginning, and there's small parts, and there's often sometimes also near infrared or afterwards a second eddy current. So aluminium is sorted out via eddy current. No matter if near infrared is the first step or eddy current or vice versa, or a second one after near infrared again to also sort out the small pieces finally. So it goes down the route, as you can see, by shredding and then again a magnetic separator to different presses in bales and other things. And then it should end up in a pyrolysis plant where the aluminium, especially when it is, let's say, laminated against other materials, and it's not only a plain foil, can be then go through the pyrolysis plant, and then it can be remelted again, saving this 95% of energy we have just heard. We have decided that we put in also this slide into, so we do not have the time to go also the different regulation where also aluminium based packaging is more or less covered in the different legislative initiatives that they are popping up at the moment. So at Constantia Flexible, so Mola, we are taking care and try to understand and help also our customers and the other partners in the supply chain to understand all the different things that are going on. From the left-hand side, the European Green Deal and what the Circular Economy Action Plan finally means for aluminium or flexible packaging. What about farm to fork strategy, thinking about food contact materials again, green claims, following the product environmental footprint initiative, where Constantia Flexible is also part of the technical secretariat. To finally, you can see the packaging waste directive is the high recycling targets, and discussing at the moment the essential requirements, what finally kind of packaging, I don't want to say will be allowed or not allowed, but is not influencing the free trading of products in the European Communion by itself. Funny, we have also here the Single-Use Plastics Directive, and people may question, so what is the Single-Use Plastics Directive here when we talk about aluminium? Of course, if, as some of you know, I think, if plastic has a function in a specification which is laminated, of course, also the part of aluminium can be finally touched by the Single-Use Plastic Directive if it is a part of a multi-composite or multi-material. And when it comes to the framework directive and it comes to the fee modulation of extended producer responsibility fees, of course, aluminium as a monomaterial or can be sorted out as a monomaterial has here also outstanding questions. So also bringing benefits into the play compared to other materials. Plastic stacks, I will leave you alone here. I'm not directly connected with aluminium, but also important as we see a lot of national plastic tax initiatives popping up at the moment. And what is all about? At the end, we are speaking here about flexible packaging. And flexible packaging by its only has only a few % of the overall carbon footprint of a packed good. On average, I would say, from my experience, also coming from an LCA perspective, it has maybe 5 to 10% of the overall carbon footprint of a product. And this 5 to 10% are protecting the other 90%. I do not want to claim that I do not care about this 5 to 10%, as we do in all the innovations we are doing. But this 5 to 10% protecting the other 90 to 95%. And that's why here we're talking about especially food waste or also the right protection of pharmaceuticals finally. And as you know, I think I don't have to tell you that worldwide, 1/3 of all food is being thrown away because of a lack of a right supply chain, finally, the right packaging, and it is lost all because we are living in the first world and throwing away 1/3 of our food, not looking at the demographic changes we have. People are living in towns, only one single households, finally, and don't need a big pack, finally. It's up to us also to offer the right packaging, decreasing the carbon footprint, but protecting the other 95%. And this is one of the biggest challenges and the important mission aluminum packaging finally has. Okay, so this is my last slide, and I would now hand over to Martin again, who will tell us a little bit about the processes of aluminium or flexible packaging by its own. Thank you so much. Sonia, maybe can you connect Martin?
Thank you, Thomas. In the further course of this webinar, you will learn more about our foil-based sustainable packaging solutions. But before this, I want to explain our aluminium value chain, or our vertical integration for producing foil packaging. We start basically with our rolling mill, and in our rolling mills, the aluminium foil stock is rolled down from a thickness of normally about 600 micron to thinner gauges. The current minimum is about 5.5 micron. The rolling, which is done in several passes on the mills, is then normally followed by a defined heat treatment, which is done to adjust the mechanical properties of the foil according to the needs of the packaging. Then the pre-material conversion provides additional functionalities like sealability or corrosion resistance, tear or puncture resistance. And the used pre-material conversion technologies are lacquering, extrusion coating, or different kind of lamination technologies. The printing, which is normally followed afterwards, is for the optical appearance of the packaging, for the communication, for product information, for marketing reasons, and in our case, it's done by rotogravure and flexoprinting, mainly UV flexoprinting. And finally, via the finishing technologies, the packaging is basically brought into the final shape, which is required by our customers. This is done via slitting, for instance, or die cutting, deep drawing in case of containers, or embossing. And for introducing our sustainable packaging solutions, I'm happy now to hand over to Thomas, who will continue to explain our specifications.
Thank you very much, Martin. And very rightly so, I will now show everybody some of our recyclable packaging solutions that we have. And today we focus on aluminum solutions, but of course we also do have in our portfolio film and paper-based solutions. And especially on the paper-based solutions, I just want to let you know that we had already a webinar on those. So if you're interested in that, just have a look at the website and you'll find that. But now, showing you a little bit more about our functional and more sustainable flexible products that we have here, especially in the dairy area. So all these products that you can see here are fully recyclable within the aluminum recycling stream by simply separating parts of the products like the lid from the cup. But let's go through them quickly one by one. So the Eco Multi-Cover is a product that has a thickness of only 30 μ, and it comes with only 4 grams of heat seal lacquer. It has very good sealing qualities against different sealing partners. So this means we have a wide sealing window here. Material reduction, as I said, is a very strong benefit here, whilst retaining the optimal functionality. It runs on conventional filling lines without machine modification. It's also suitable for toppers. Sealable against PS and PP, available embossed or unembossed. The next product, the Eco Peel Cover, is a coax coating grammage cover or lid that is improved to only 13 grams, and it comes with very strong sealing performance. It has 50% less coating layer compared to standard co-extrusion coatings. It is a solvent-free specification in combination with UV flexo printing. and it has easy peel coating, so you have a perfect performance on several packaging lines. You have a standard embossing, you have edge embossing, and unembossed versions are possible. Again, a wide range of sealing temperature from 200 to 280 degrees Celsius, and good seal-through properties. Comfort lid is a double-layer die-cut lid that is composed of one aluminum layer and a co-extrusion plastic layer. The consumer peels off the aluminum layer and is left basically with a plastic layer that has perfectly placed an opening that remains on the cup where you can either drink from, or you can use this layer as a pouring device. So you have, on the one hand, you can have either convenient drinking pleasure for products like coffee to go, for instance, where you don't need anymore any kind of plastic snap-on lid or straw. And at the same time, the product can be also used, for instance, from separating a product like cheese, let's think about mozzarella for instance, from the liquid that it is usually kept in. The fourth product here we call Easy Glass Peel, and this is an aluminum die-cut lid or a real fat lid that is perfect for sealing on glass. It comes with an improved tearing resistance, and it is suitable for treated glass. It is available printed, unprinted, or embossed. The last product on this slide here, Aluform Fill Seal, are basically printed alu reels or real fat liddings that are delivered like you see them to the customer. And on this product, I want to call it that it can include up to 70% of recycled content. Here in this overview, we have prepared some products from the confectionery and processed food, and also a pet food product. I'm going to start with the pet food product, which we call the Ecotainer Alu. It comes on a water-based lacquer system and uses that instead of being solvent-based. So the performance here is achieved without using chromated foil. It has a recycling content of up to 60% in the foil, and it avoids using critical or publicly discussed substances like BPA and so like. The next product is Eco Alula. This product has been developed to replace standard alu paper fold wraps that are so far not recyclable. It has a perfect deadfold properties for excellent machinability. It works on existing packaging machinery and can therefore be easily processed. The tablet foil is one that every one of us loves when they are a chocolate lover. So this one has excellent barrier properties that are needed, like I said, for chocolate. Heat seal lacquer that can be applied to hermetically seal the chocolate bar. It ensures a long shelf life and high quality preservation of the good. It can come with embossing features like customer logos, for instance. And let's not forget about that aluminum still has a premium appearance on shelf for consumers. The last one here on the seasonals are mono aluminum foils, and therefore, being mono aluminum, they are perfectly recyclable. They come in two different packaging technologies that can be applied. Can be either of wrapping, where you have very soft aluminum alloys that are necessary to leave smooth wrapping properties, or deep drawing, where you have special alloys with high elongation and high stiffness, and those are needed to ensure stability during the production process. Both come with eye-catching printing options that are available, and we have even holographic optics and haptic features that can be applied to them. So I'm handing over back to you, Martin, to share with us a summary of what we've heard today.
So thank you, Thomas. As you said, we are already now close to the end of our presentation, and I want to sum up what we think are the most interesting advantages and benefits of aluminium for flexible packaging applications. First, when you look top left, the barrier properties. So even in the thin gauges, aluminium proves a total barrier against light gases, moisture, and other substances. And together with this, you have the flavor protection. What I said before, it keeps the aromas inside the packaging, but since it's tasteless itself, it does not impair the material or the product. When you look at the top right, heat performance, this is, from my point of view, a very, very important benefit of foil, since it's very good for the sealing processes at the customers, and also for some household applications where you bake something inside a packaging or you cook it inside the packaging, it withstands the temperatures. Formability and strength. Yeah, for instance, you can form the semi-rigid containers, and for cold foaming applications when you look at the pharmaceutical industry. Mechanical performance, so bottom on the right side, we said it's light but yet strong and versatile. It proves a high stiffness, which for instance is interesting for the containers, but also on the packaging lines. This is a very important property, and it has a very unique deadfold. Yeah, so for deadfold applications, for wrapping applications, it's a great packaging material. And also the push-through suitability for hard-tempered foil is of interest when you look at pharmaceutical applications, but also for chewing gum. And recyclability, that's what we learned today. When you recycle aluminium, and aluminium can be recycled in infinite times, you only use 5% of the energy compared with its primary production. So this is then, for the sustainability, a really good material. And when you look at the middle, to sum up, when having foil-based packaging, aluminium is really a net saver of resources. It protects the content in the best way, and enables that way sustainable consumption and a sustainable lifestyle, which is shown in very different LCAs and a lot of various LCAs. So I hope this was informative for you. And now it's time for questions and answers. And for this, I will hand over back to Sonja.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Martin, for that. Let me just take back the controls so we can start the Q&A portion of the webinar. And I have received some questions already from the audience members, so I will begin with those. But just to remind the audience members who have not sent in their questions, you can do so by using that questions chat box, and we'll try to attend to your questions during the Q&A portion. So, gentlemen, are you ready? I first want to say thank you very much for that very insightful presentation, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Martin, and Thomas. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. Now we're going to start the Q&A portion of the webinar. So let's begin. So the first question I have for you is, it would be good to hear about PVC-free heat seal liqueurs for aluminum foil, and how soon will the PVC HSL will be replaced at Constancia? That's one of our members asking that question.
Okay, perfect. So then may I take this question and provide an answer? So basically, PVC lacquers are available for different applications. When you look, for instance, at normal dairy lidding applications, PVC-free lacquers, combi lacquers are available, and also for other applications, chocolate foil and so on. It's still, PVC is still common when it comes, for instance, to corrosion-resistant applications like cheese foil or in the pharmaceutical industry. But there, the developments are also ongoing, and alternative solutions, PVC-free, will be possible in, I would say, the near future. Yeah, it's always a question of technical performance, also price, and when it comes to cheese foil, currently PVC-based structures prove the best corrosion resistance at a reasonable price.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas, for that. Here's our next question. Aluminum does not have a positive perception in public. What is the industry doing to improve this perception?
So thanks for these excellent questions. I take it, Dr. Thomas. So too many Thomases and doctors here. Just joking. So this is why we have finally decided also to bring the chart with the Aluminium Stewardship Initiative. We know we have a positive story, or not we, the material aluminium has a positive story to tell when it comes to recyclability, when it comes to the technical properties finally, and if it is recycled, and finally also a very positive story when it comes to carbon emissions, and we are using recycled material. when we look at the overall sustainability debate, as I already explained at the beginning, that was the reason why we finally have founded the Aluminium Stewardship Initiative, where we also, let's say, tackling the challenges of how about dealing with indigenous people living next to bauxite mining? How about affluent spills? What about governance bodies, primary corruption? So everything you have in mind when it comes to the question of sustainability is finally let's say incorporated in the ASI standard finally. And that's why we are pushing this ASI as we believe. So that's the only and the pure standard for responsible sourcing of aluminium. So thanks.
Yeah, maybe to add on this question, I mean, looking at the perception of plastics out there, we see that there is again a rebirth or a re-strengthening of the material of aluminium coming. Simply because, in contrast, and we heard that throughout the presentation, aluminum today can be recycled. Recycling streams are available in most of the countries. And so here we can clearly say that where plastics still are on the way and where they are improving day by day with solutions all across, aluminum is already there today. And therefore, it is our job, the industry's job, as well as the brand's job and the job actually of governments around the world to promote stronger that the recyclability of aluminum is not fiction and is not future, but it is happening and can happen right now as we speak.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Let me just go to our next question. What's Constancia's idea on the intermediate versus aluminum and plastic, the metallized option?
So I take it, Dr. Thomas, sustainability takes it. As some of you know, so we've also seen, especially for medium barrier, we are looking with respect to improving plastics performance on metallized structures. Also in our Ecolam series, you have heard to offer these properties. The challenge with metallization is that if you have metallization on the outside layer, it can be detected via near infrared, so it will be sorted out in the final waste stream. But if a metallized layer is between an inner and an outer layer, so it is not influencing finally the performance of the regranulate when reprocessed finally. I'm looking at the Red Sea Glass certificates we have and talking to Plastic Recyclers Europe and the whole community who is finally agreeing that metallization of the intermediate barrier does not influence finally the performance of the regranulate.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We're getting a lot of questions coming in, just trying to get them all organized here. Thank you, audience members, for these. Here's the next question. What is Constancia's most recent innovation in die-cut lids with heel seal lacquer?
Good question. Let me think about that. Well, generally speaking, our aim is to reduce all disturbing elements for an efficient recycling process and to reduce the CO2 footprint, which is, of course, in all of our interest. So here, it is important for us to look into exactly those die-cut lids and those materials where we can bring that down. So find the suitable alloys, down-gauge materials, look into improving the mechanical properties, lower the inks and coatings and weights, such as the reduced heat seal lacquer. So here we do have exactly those materials and the products that you've seen, like the Eco Peel, like the Eco Cover, the Eco Multi Cover, the Eco Peel Cover. All these go exactly into this direction. So the latest here is the heat seal lacquer with 4 grams and the latest extrusion coating of only 13 grams per square meter, which is another milestone for us in fully supporting the sustainability demands of the European Union. So down gauging is a great way to support sustainability. Thinner is better and often preferred over shifting to an alternative specification.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Here is our next question, and the question is, what is your perspective on aluminum-based packaging over the next decade?
That's a good one. I'm looking at my 2 doctors here in the room. So who wants to take this question? Martin, you go.
Yeah, it's a really good question, but how to say, we see it positive. Yeah, we're really convinced that the properties of aluminium foil will be important for our lifestyle and will be important to save the resources. And the only question is, we have to guarantee the recyclability in the recycling streams, but there a lot of work is done. And I think we are on the right track, and therefore aluminum packaging has a bright future.
Anyone else to comment? I can go to the next question. Okay.
Go to the next question.
All right, perfect. Here's the next question. Can we produce all of our material with 100% PCR, post-consumer recycled material?
In Thomas again, so the other Thomas, Dr. Thomas. Yes, in theory, yes, of course, because casted remelted aluminium is possible also in direct food contact again, but we do not have as much as recycled aluminium on the market also to feed the need of secondary material for finally here. So that's a big thing, and there's always the discussion, should I dedicate the recycled material to, for example, flexible packaging or aluminium-based packaging, or should this material stick to a value chain where it is also incorporated like automotive or in the flight sector finally. So we believe it does not make sense only for doing a green claim to take these amounts and really to steer it. From our foil stock suppliers, so we have a guarantee we can also incorporate post-consumer recycled content. But from a logistic point of view, and when it comes to finally to a target alloy you need for flexible packaging application, it's always very tricky if you have to more re-alloy or diluting your final alloy. So it's a challenge, but it is possible and it is already done. So depending on customer demand, if it really does make sense from a sustainability perspective, I personally don't.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's see if we can squeeze in one more question. Here it is. Do you apply the 4G heat seal coating in 2 production steps? What about the corrosion properties?
So this will be a quite short answer. We apply the 4 grams in 1 production step, and the corrosion resistance is fit for the use of dairy products. Yeah, for normal dairy products, this is absolutely fine. We did all the migration testings or the release testings to put it in the correct wording, and this is fine. If you have some products with very high acidity or very long shelf life, we have to take another specification.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for those questions, audience members. We have reached the end of the question and answer portion of the webinar. If we couldn't attend to your questions, the team at Constantia Flexibles will follow up with you after this presentation. Now, if you have any further questions, direct them to the email address that's on your screen. And there's one there for Thomas, and one for Dr. Thomas, and one for Dr. Martin. And there they are. Okay, so thank you everyone for participating in today's webinar. You will be receiving a follow-up email from X-Talks with access to the recorded archive of this event. A survey window will be popping up on your screen. Your participation is appreciated as it will help us to improve on our further webinars. Now, I'm about to send you a link in your chat box. You'll be able to view the recording of this event at that link, and also share this link with your colleagues when they register for the recording as well. And if you miss Constantia Flexible's past events, please watch their on-demand webinars. And for the latest insights, sign up for their newsletter. And here's the information right here for you. So I encourage you to do that. Now, please join us in thanking our speakers, Dr. Thomas Gregorich, Vice President, Group Sustainability, Dr. Martin Kornfeld, Vice President R&D Competence Center Aluminum and Foil Laminates, and Thomas Schultz, Vice President Brand Management Group, all with Constantia Flexibles for that very insightful and detailed presentation. We hope you found this webinar informative. It has been my pleasure to be your webinar moderator. On behalf of the team here at X-Talks, we thank you for joining us. I'm Sonia Hunt. Until next time, please take care and bye for now. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Sonia. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sonia. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye, everyone.